Hello, everybody. I have another friend to introduce you to today. This is Andrew Darlow. And Andrew and I met in networking. I've been doing more networking lately and really having fun with it, making great connections with people. So if you want to connect with other business owners and have people hear more about what you do, the Grand Connection and JV Connect is where we know each other and will continue to meet each other. We're also over in LinkedIn, where lots of connections have been happening. So look forward to seeing you and introducing you to Andrew today. Andrew Darlow is a New Jersey-based award-winning photographer, author, inventor, and coach. For over 25 years, he has helped people preserve, protect, and back up their photographs, videos, and other important digital files. Andrew's work and insights have been highlighted in multiple publications and media outlets, including People Magazine, Animal Planet, Reader's Digest, and Professional Photographer Magazine. He is the author of 4 award-winning books, and he is the inventor of, pull it up and show, inventor of the Gallery Pouch, a custom heavyweight bubble bag produced in Dallas, Texas by Frame Destination. So welcome, Andrew. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, thank you, Sandra. It's been really nice getting to know you over the last few months, thanks to the Grand Connection and other networking things. And so I guess at my heart is photography. That's really the glue that has kept my whole career together for many years, apart from my family. And so it all started in high school in the dark room when I had an opportunity to see black and white photographs just appear out of nowhere. And that led me being an exchange student in Japan, where I took many photographs, to being another exchange student in Europe and many other things. But what I do primarily is I help photographers and other people who love art take better photographs, organize their photographs, print their photographs, and most importantly, back up their photographs, videos, and other important data, because it's heartbreaking when I hear that people have lost data.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, having recently had a computer die, it's like, yeah, losing important memories is a big thing.
I'm sorry to hear that. Most people have a story to tell like that.
Yep. And I don't do the whole phone thing with, the scroll and scroll and scroll of photographs. But if people lose their phones or break their phones or something like that, if they don't have those backed up, it can be tragic.
Absolutely. I've had family members who had everything on one of the little micro SD cards in their Android phone, and I guess they weren't backing it up to anything, and they lost that little card. And his son said to him, "Dad, you lost my whole childhood." And so it's like potentially very, very upsetting. So I try to do whatever I can to give people simple solutions to backing up their life.
Yeah. So what are your favorite subjects for photography?
Okay. First, I think it's probably my family. I love photographing my son, since birth. When he first entered the world, I took photographs, amongst they let me go in and take photographs where he was. And one of my favorites is the 2 grandmas looking through the window at their grandson. And so I have my son and then the 2 grandmas there through the window. And so that's number 1. And then otherwise, I love exploring cities and towns and just taking photographs of whatever I see. I love interesting photographs with people and then some type of interesting object behind them. I enjoy photographing pets and animals if I see them, either privately through people who I meet or at events like dog shows, or people who hire me to do that, although that's less of what I do these days. So I have a lot of different areas of interest. I could say that there aren't that many things that I'm not interested in photographing. I'll put it that way.
Yeah.
But things like fireworks and macro, I love photographing things like leaves and trees and all the seasons. So I can go on and on.
Sounds like I'm not a professional photographer by any means, but I really love when I have a camera, which is like so available now. And I'm just walking through a city or a town and shapes and colors and interesting composition. Sounds like you really like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Anything like that, anything that catches my eye that either has some meaning for me or maybe it'll have some meaning for someone else, which is always fun.
So you need to show us at least one of your books.
Sure, I'll show the one that probably is the most fun. This is a book called Biscuit for Your Thoughts. It features my photographs of dogs, and I can't take any credit for any of the design or the funny sayings, but I will share one. I've been photographing pets for now like 25 years, and it all started on a visit to the Westminster Kennel Club Dog Show in New York City. So I'll just pick one fun one. Oh, here's just a very simple one. It says Clash Brilliantly. So that's just a quick one. I'll give you one more too. Just for this one's fun. So there's the image. And if the tutu fits, wear it. So that was really an honor to be invited to do that book. And it was from the publisher of my other book here. I have 4 books, but this one is called Focus and Filter, and this is tips for anyone who loves photography. It is really more for people who have big cameras, but it also is for people who just use smartphones because they're getting better and better each day. And it has tips and advice, things that I've been using for years and years, little things often that you won't find in other books or even online. I won't open this one, but there's a lot in there. So it's always fun to share my ideas and things that have really helped me to make better photographs.
For people like me who aren't professional photographers, the little tips are so helpful.
Yes. Would you like one or two?
Sure.
Okay. So my favorite one for better portraits, I'd say probably all smartphones at this point have a way to zoom in. So you probably see on an iPhone, most of them have 0.5 and then 1 and then either 2 or 3. So if you want better portraits, people not to necessarily look like cartoon characters, then use the 2 or use the 1 and then zoom in a little more, because when you zoom in and you use more of the zoom part of the lens, or the lens that actually has more of a zoom to it, people's faces look more natural.
Oh, that's interesting. Tell me what makes it look more natural.
It's just the way in which the lens renders objects when they're wide versus when it's more telephoto or zoomed in, essentially. And the face becomes more flat and it tends to be more pleasing. If you see people on TV news, those cameras are like 30 feet away. So that's just one example, as opposed to if you've ever seen those funny cards of dogs usually, and their faces are just huge and all distorted. That would be equivalent to like using the 0.5 or really wide angle lens really close up. You get this kind of distorted look.
I have a composition question. So when taking pictures of people, when do you want them in the center and when do you want them off center?
Okay, well, if there's nothing really interesting around them, maybe center is fine. But if they are, let's say, in an art gallery and there's a big piece of art there, then it's probably better that they're off to the side so that you can showcase both of them. And then if you have 2 people, phones today are smart enough to like know that there's 2 people there and it won't try to focus through the middle of people. But on some cameras, you actually have to tell it, I want to focus on this person, or else it's going to go right to the back and those people are going to be blurry. So I would say use your own judgment, but there often is a reason to have the person on the side, just because there's something really interesting, like a building or something. You don't necessarily always want them to be in front. And sometimes it gets boring if you just see the person, sort of like that famous of artwork called The Scream, where the person's like right in the middle on the bridge. So that's just an example.
So I have a question that's something I run into myself. I'm trying to take a picture with my phone of something where I'm holding something and I want the focus to be on that, but it's also capturing back and it winds up being not focused on anything. How do I get it when I'm holding the phone, when I'm holding the object, and I want it to focus on what I want it to focus on?
All right, this is one of my favorite tips. So what you want to do is every phone has the ability to touch focus. So if you don't want to use any special apps or special tools, at least for a second or two, you can always touch focus and then you can take the picture with it focused there. For at least it'll be there for at least a couple seconds. And then that's exactly how you do it, whether it's horizontal or vertical.
Thank you. So, are there any other tips that you can share with people so that they can become better at being photographers and maybe use this in their business?
Okay, yes, there are a lot of tips, but probably my favorite tip is if you are going to take photographs outside of anything, take them from different angles. Don't just take pictures from straight on. Whether someone's maybe taking some photographs of you for PR, take them from different angles, like from the side, and then maybe from an overhead. Maybe get a ladder, like a little step ladder. You can get some really interesting views there. So don't always be like right in front. Now, shooting from underneath for a person generally is not going to look good, but sometimes there may be a reason to do that. So just always try to use different angles. And sometimes, even if you know you're going to use the photographs vertically, consider also shooting some horizontals, because there are some things that you can do with horizontals. Like, for example, use them for different types of things in different, like LinkedIn is really good for horizontals, but then you may want to use the vertical for somewhere else, like, who knows, TikTok if it's a video, etc., etc. So think about that. We have enough resolution these days to use horizontal as the default and then pick out the verticals as you need them. I think that's one of the best pieces of advice I can give you, because if you only do vertical, it's going to be hard to use it effectively horizontally.
How do you recommend that, the average person edit and, and crop and do all those things?
Well, first, if you're in, let's say, an iPhone, there's a way that you can duplicate. A lot of people don't know this. You can duplicate any photograph right on your iPhone, which is nice because, yes, you can go back, but often you forget what you did. So you can actually duplicate it and then just work on the duplicated version of it. And there's really amazing edit tools right in the iPhone native. And then you can do different crops. You can also angle it a little. One of the things that always bothers me is if the horizon really would look better if it's straight, but it's like tilted a little bit. So those are all easy edits. And you can go on YouTube, for example, and get quick tutorials for just about anything that you may want to do. And I highly recommend using the live photos option if you have an iPhone, and then learning how to use the slider so that you can choose. Let's say you photograph someone and they look fantastic, but their eyes are closed. Well, you can go in there and then you can do the slider, and hopefully you're getting about 2 seconds or so. You can scroll through and say, oh, they just opened their eye, and then make that the key photo.
Mm-hmm.
And that could save the day, whether you're doing it for your family or whether you're doing it for a job.
So many useful tips. One that I run into all the time is file size. How, does it matter how big the photo file is, depending on what you're using it for?
I'd say for stills, you can upload large files. It's fine because the social media networks are just going to make it smaller. For video, I think if you're taking video with 4K a lot, there are some advantages to that because you can zoom in later. But just realize that your files, I believe, will be about 4 times larger in most cases. So then you just are going to be fighting with the upload times. So really think about that a lot before you just turn everything to 4K. And I know that there are some advantages, but just really think about that. And so as far as stills are concerned, just make sure that your images are at least about, I like 1500 pixels on the longest side minimum. And then your iPhone, I think, takes like 4000 pixels on the long end. I have to check that, but so I think that if you are somewhere in that neighborhood of 1500 pixels to 2000 pixels on the longest side, you're going to be good.
So for you watching, obviously, Andrew really knows his stuff when it comes to photography. So thank you for sharing all of those wonderful tips. Do you have anything you want people to remember about how they can be better photographers and use it in their business?
I'd say take more photographs than you think you need, whether it's for a blog, whether it's for your family, and take some video also, because you never know when you may want to look at video or use it. And Gary Vee, who's like a master of PR for his brand, has someone trailing him constantly. And so it's not a bad idea to kind of, at least if you're going to be doing an event or some kind of interesting, if you're in an interesting place, maybe have a little video friend taking your videos with you for you. And then you can just compile it all later. You have no idea how you can use it.
Absolutely. They're resources that if you're not taking them, you can't use them. So thank you, Andrew, for being with us and sharing all this wonderful information. How can people connect with you?
The easiest way is go to backup.fm. I put it here in my little Chiron, I believe it's called. And that's the easiest way to find me. You can sign up for my newsletter. You can get my backup blueprint, which can help people to look at an overview of their backup, and just reach out to me on LinkedIn also. That's my favorite place.
So below the video, there is going to be all of the links that you can use to connect with Andrew. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for talking with me, answering questions. Like, these were actually my real questions. It was nice to get answered.
Oh, it was fun. Thank you so much, Sandra. I look forward to watching more of your programs as well.
You are very welcome. So thank you, everybody, for being on with us today or watching the replay. If you have any appreciation you want to give to Andrew, you can stick it in the comments. Thanks, everybody.